First light across the western hills of Earth's only continent, Pangaea. This world has been ruled by one group of giant reptiles for over 50 million years. But these ancient creatures have had their day. All over these lush fern prairies, a grim evolutionary battle has broken out among the newer types of reptile for supremacy of this strange world. On these Triassic proving grounds, dinosaurs are still comparatively rare, but they are beginning to show the first signs of their future success. It is the end of the wet season, and the local river is full, but it will not remain this lush, and ahead lies 9 months with no rain. One type of reptile has evolved to thrive in drought. Dinosaurs like this Coelophysis can survive on very little water. She is also light-boned, fast, and she is beautifully adapted for killing. Dinosaurs first appeared around 10 million years before as small predators, but what makes them unique is special hips and ankles that allow them to stand perfectly balanced on 2 legs. With lightning-fast reactions, they are built to survive. A growing chorus of calls signals the arrival of a huge herd of Placerosaurus. They are making their way down from the fern scrubland for their morning drink. These impressive 1-ton beasts are not related to dinosaurs. They are a much more ancient type of reptile. Once there were many different varieties of these powerful creatures swaggering across the landscape. But now the Placerosaurus are the only ones of their kind that remain. They are an endangered species. Despite their fearsome appearance, they are actually gentle herbivores. Their tusks are used for digging up roots. But on 2 angry males, these tusks can make lethal weapons. For the swift Coelophysis, Placerosaurus are prey. This young female targets the old and weak in the slow-moving herd. One day, the descendants of dinosaurs like Coelophysis will take over this world. But it is their speed and agility that gives them the edge in the mid-Triassic. A year has passed since the sauropodlets fled into the denser part of the forest, and deep in a canyon, the little female grazes. She is already over 3 meters long. She feeds with other yearlings that stick together in a creche for safety. They are here because the walls of the canyon drip with moisture, creating a thick layer of moss and fern. But the canyon runs down to the prairie, and all this greenery attracts larger dinosaurs. A 7-ton male Stegosaurus. He too is a herbivore, but very dangerous. The large plates on his back are primarily there for display. It is the meter-long spikes on his tail that make him so lethal. These he can wield with devastating effect, despite having a very small brain for his body size. The creche moves further down the canyon, away from the Stegosaurus. But But 2 Allosaurus have also been drawn here by the smell of prey. The Stegosaurus flushes blood into his plates, creating a frightening display of color. Confused and intimidated by the herbivore's display, the Allosaurus backs down. To the young Diplodocus, the other dinosaurs here are unfamiliar and huge. This is Brachiosaurus, a 13-meter-high sauropod that specializes in grazing on the treetops. With chisel-like teeth, his kind can effortlessly harvest cones and fresh leaves no other dinosaur can reach. And they have grown enormous on it. These adults weigh over 70 tons, making them the largest land animals that have ever existed. The juvenile Diplodocus, however, do not have the same size advantages and urgently need the protection of an adult herd. But eventually, their salvation comes. A herd of gigantic adults is approaching. One elderly female sizes up the juveniles. She accepts them, and they fall into line behind an adult. Safe at last. The herd of Diplodocus is now at full strength. It contains a range of members from 12-meter-long adolescents to gigantic adults 3 times their size. It is the mating season, and for the first time, the female that hatched 10 years ago in the forest is old enough and large enough to reproduce. The males have started to display. During this, they rock back on their tails to impress potential mates. Occasionally, fights break out. With creatures this size, the forces at work during these confrontations are colossal, enough to shatter ribs and shake the ground. The victor wins the right to mate. Our female is approached by a young male. She responds to his calls first by stamping, and then generating very low-frequency mating calls. This so-called infrasound is too low for most animals to hear. However, he picks these signals up through the ground and responds by walking close to her, rubbing his body down hers. She shows she is receptive. Mating is a dangerous activity for the female. She is going to have to carry at least an extra 10 tons on her back. As she has grown older, the vertebrae over her hips have become fused and reinforced to help her cope with this ordeal. The Ophthalmosaurus are starting to give birth. Most sea reptiles return to the land to lay eggs, but not Ophthalmosaurus. They give birth to live young. This frees the adults from the need to crawl out of the water and has allowed them to evolve their fish-like shapes. A single female has between 2 and 5 pups, but since they are air breathers, the young must be born tail first. Otherwise they would drown in the time it takes them to escape from the mother. The newborn pups have just a few seconds to reach the surface and take their first breath. From the moment they are born, the little pups are vulnerable. These waters are full of predators. Even adult Ophthalmosaurus will eat the offspring of others to increase the chance of survival for their own pups. The only real safety is amongst the crags of coral. Birth is a dangerous time for the mothers too. This female is trying desperately to expel her unborn offspring. Fighting for air, she stays near the surface. Her struggles are a lure to sharks. These predators have acute hearing, and the sound of splashing betrays an animal in distress. As perfectly evolved killing machines, sharks were patrolling the oceans long before marine reptiles appeared. After 20 minutes, her exertions are exhausting her. She is having to breathe more frequently. The sharks start to move in closer. Suddenly, something lurking in the gloom scatters the sharks. Diplodocus. At 150 tons, it is the largest and most powerful carnivore ever to live on the planet. In the early Cretaceous, the movement of the continents is not only breaking up the giant northern and southern land masses, but it continues to push up sea levels. This has opened up new seaways and coastlines. Where once there was solid land, now there are ragged cliffs, buzzing with a colorful abundance of flying reptiles called pterosaurs. Pterosaurs have filled the skies for 100 million years, and many species are now huge. Wingspans of 6 meters and more are common. But there is one species that dwarfs them all. He is Ornithocheirus, 12 meters from wingtip to wingtip, and a body bigger than a man's. He is the undisputed king of the skies. This giant is over 40 years old. Most of his life has been spent wandering the globe in search of food. But every year there is a dramatic interruption to this nomadic lifestyle. It will soon be time to find a mate. On the rock ledges around him, the mating season for another pterosaur is well underway, the bizarre-looking Tapajara. Pterosaurs' wings are thin membranes of skin that stretch from elongated fingers on their forelimbs to the ends of their hind limbs. Their bones are hollow and very lightweight. They are masters of the air, but on land they are cumbersome, with their legs joined up by the wings. Squatting on all fours, the males try and claim a prominent area from which to display to the females above. They show off their colourful crests until one competitor backs down. A large crest is also a lure to the females. A potential mate soon makes a cautious approach, her head dipped in submission. As in any competition, there are losers. Unable to secure himself a good display patch, this male is perilously close to a blowhole. Down here, he has little chance of attracting a mate. Instinct is telling the Ornithochirus that it is time to move on. He must leave these shores and return to his breeding site in Europe, on the other side of the world. Next to the Ornithochirus, the birds look no bigger than insects. However, their tiny feathered wings are more resistant to damage than the skin membrane of the pterosaur, especially among the branches and twigs of dense forests. In the far future, the pterosaurs will surrender the skies to the birds. Driven on, he eventually reaches the huge island of Cantabria, which will one day be the bedrock of Spain. He is exhausted by his 14,000-kilometer journey. Ahead lies the mating ground. Every year of his adult life, he has returned to this same spot to mate. Already the beach is full of male Ornithochirus noisily competing for space. As the old male approaches, he knows from experience that the nearer the center of this intimidating throng, the more attractive he will be to the females. He heads straight for the dominant position he has occupied in previous years, right in the middle. But this time, he faces a challenge to his supremacy. Again and again he tries to land, but the males on the ground fend him off. Eventually his weariness tells, and he has to land elsewhere. His position among the males has been usurped by younger animals. They advertise their vigor and size to warn off rival males and to attract females out of the air. For the outcast, the world has been turned upside down. Now banished to the outskirts of the mating area, he will be lucky to attract a female at all. In the blistering heat of midday, his instincts force him to keep trying. The females are unmoved. Occasionally, some of these giant migrants get lost in the forest. But what for them is a minor problem can mean life or death for the Leelinosaura clan. The noise these huge herbivores make prevents the Leelinosaura sentry from hearing other, more threatening sounds. The giant carnivore has killed the dominant female. It is a bitter blow. Winter is coming, and without a lead female, there will be tension in the clan. In the gathering gloom, the Koolasuchus senses the drop in temperature and reluctantly leaves his summer home. Once again, he lumbers into the forest in search of a suitable shelter to hibernate through the cold, dark months that lie ahead. The low light also triggers a change in the forest plants. They stop growing, and photosynthesis grinds to a halt. Some will shed their leaves, others will just lie dormant. The Leelinosaura now have to work extra hard to find food, searching for fungus and nutritious roots beneath the forest floor. At this time of year, their survival strategy is to move to the heart of the forest, where it rarely freezes, and to keep active to maintain their body temperature. But as the clan gathers round a waterfall, it is clear that the summer predators have taken their toll. Only one hatchling has survived, and they still have no lead female. Out on the lava flows, a group of Anatotitan wanders between islands of greenery. These animals are members of the Hadrosaur family, the most common group of dinosaurs in the late Cretaceous. But their kind has evolved to thrive in lush lowland swamps, not in an ash wilderness. Three days have passed. The Triceratops carcass has been stripped, and the female Tyrannosaurus is beginning to tire of her mate. The male knows better than to stay. Gliding in from the coast, a magnificent pterosaur, Quetzalcoatlus, is hunting for food. This is now a rare sight. For the last 20 million years, these flying reptiles have been in decline. Now these 13-meter giants are the only ones left, and this is a dangerous place to be. 1-ton crocodiles live in the lake, and one could easily drag the delicate glider to his death. Driven on to extinction. The skies of the future belong to the birds that already flourish around him. Months have passed, and the female Tyrannosaurus has built a new nest, camouflaged in the forest. Mother keeps watch. For the full 2 months of the egg's incubation, she will not leave her station or even eat. She knows her nest is a magnet to scavengers, like this dromaeosaur. His cautious approach is watched by the Tyrannosaurus. She judges exactly when he has got too close. One dinosaur that specializes in defense is the extraordinary Ankylosaurus. They are evolved to withstand attack even from giant predators like Tyrannosaurus. At 7 tons, Ankylosaurus are so heavily armored that even their eyelids are hardened. And if that wasn't enough, they have a formidable club on the end of their tails. But sadly, not even these magnificent creatures have any defense against the natural forces that are suffocating their world. Some months have passed, and the Tyrannosaurus nest has been abandoned. There is no longer any sign of the protective mother, only a Didelphodon busily burrowing into the side. Dinosaurs are vulnerable to these mammals because they all lay their eggs on the ground. But size helps, and a Tyrannosaurus egg is a challenge for this marsupial. Soon the age of the mammals will dawn, and they will grow to massive sizes. But at 10 kilograms, this is about as big as Cretaceous mammals get. The Tyrannosaurus embryo inside the abandoned egg is already dead. The scent is a lure to another Didelphodon. Many dinosaur embryos are not surviving in this volcanic environment because acidic pollution is preventing their eggshells from forming properly. The mother is calling for a new mate. Tyrannosaurus have huge territories of hundreds of square kilometers. Her challenge is to attract a wandering male. She may have to call like this for weeks.